So I will call this session of the Detroit City Council special session to order on Friday, January 22nd, 2021 at 4:35 p.m. Roll call.
Greg Shepard, Street Commissioner.
Eric Page, Parks Commissioner.
Tim Luke,
Shelley
no commissioner.
Shelley Engel, Building Commissioner.
Michelle Tesdale, Commissioner at Large.
Jim Trett, Mayor, Emergency Preparedness. Declaration of Conflict of Interest and Ex parte Contact. Hearing none. Announcement, this is a space items not on the agenda but relevant to city business may be discussed by the City Council at this meeting. Citizens are encouraged to attend all meetings of the City Council to ensure they remain informed. Agenda items may be moved back if a public hearing is scheduled. First on our agenda this afternoon is to consider our website proposals. Councilor Engel.
Oh, okay. So we received 4 proposals as of last Tuesday when we had our city council meeting. And then we have received an additional one that turned out that it was deadline, but it just didn't get in our packets. So that one we also have available to look at. So we have 5 total. We have the Lindley Creative Studios. We have the Marketing by Marissa. We have the Design Point. And we have project, I just lost the word. Sorry, I got a little rattled today. Project Salem. Project Limited, sorry, there we go. And then you have a new one that was sent to you in the last day or so from Lori Gatley. So does anybody have any questions? Do they have any input?
Greg Shepard, I would like to stick with Lori Gatley. She's been doing it for years, and I believe we don't need to get bids for anything under $10,000. I was kind of curious why we were going through that.
Because we did. I don't know why either. It was decided at a city council meeting to put it out to bid, and so we did. So we have 4 proposals to look at, and so it looks like, Greg, that you are leaning strongly towards Lori Gatley.
Yes, I am. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Tim Luke, and I'd like to, if I can, make a motion to continue with Lori Gatley.
I'll second that.
Okay, so we can still do this. I have a motion, Councilor Luke, to continue the webpage contract with Lori Gatley. I have a second, Councilor Tesdale. Was that right?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. I was just looking away. Now, is there any discussion? And we can
Well,
do the here.
I would like to weigh in on this. I mean, I've got no personal axe with Lori, but to grind. But there was many holes left in our city webpage, and in fact, there was no update midsummer. We had a complete blank for 30 days on this thing, and we're moving into a period of time where it is going to take substantial get with it on this website. I'm just not personally convinced from my following of our city website and from what we've gotten so far on this website that continuing down that path is in the best interest of the city, with many things coming up in the future. I myself am all for one for looking at a new program for the city, for the city's website that gets constant attention and is updated and is Lori has had plenty of opportunity to manage this site on that type of level, and it's never happened. So there's my 2 cents for you on that.
Hey, Eric, I was also in agreement up until recently with you on that. But the reason was that I wasn't well informed. And I would also, after I'm done, like to ask David Dowley if he could chime in some on this, because he's a professional in this. But I believe a lot of that blankness and support was our fault as a council, not providing information properly to Lori. Also finding out that the website was built on the premise that it was built on was so old and outdated that it was not friendly for mobile use at all. And also, she hasn't gotten paid for any of the update stuff or so forth. She's been doing quite a bit of it. My understanding is, as just a favor to the best of her ability, but she can't keep things up unless there's some sort of protocol in place, which we don't have, I believe, to, for better use of terms, hold her accountable of what we're getting and so forth. And I think that that's definitely something that needs to be put in place, to have somebody that's actually in that position or asked to basically oversee that, if you would, because of course now I understand, she can only do what she can do with what she has to work with. And so I think that played into it pretty heavily for me. And she has now created a template I've seen and so forth, and it's really fabulous. Plus her resume on the stuff and the city websites that she's worked with and municipalities, everything really, I think now that I've researched and looked at it, really speak for themselves. And so I'm not sure that a lot of that fault or much of any of it really falls on her, but instead on the process, possibly.
If I could say something real quick.
Yes, ma'am.
It is
Hello?
I think we're waiting on Kelly.
There
they're
you
mute. You're,
go. Yeah, we're working through yours because yours. Oh,
okay.
So
I'm good now?
Yeah.
Anyway, what I was saying is that Lori's been working with us, hasn't been charging us, is really wanting to support the city of Detroit. She does have to pay, the person that works with her, but she's willing to work with us in payments, and we just don't have a lot of money coming in to support really expensive monthly and yearly payments on that. And just
Can I add in on that?
Further
I was
discussion.
looking
Could we do this by kind of raising a hand so we're not walking on each other? So Councilor Tisdale?
I was wondering if the $30,000 for the Community Prosperity Initiative, I believe we still have that. It was going to go to the shelter, but it might not be because we're getting the gazebo donated. I was wondering if we could use a portion of that to go ahead and pay Lori. I'm not an expert on websites. I know they, how they function and what's likable and not, and the old one is archaic. But the timing on this, I think the timing would be quicker if we could use Lori and get that website up and running instead of waiting what I read, the 4 to 8 weeks, or I'm not sure how many weeks it would take. But the citizens are starting to complain because it's outdated. They can't get a hold of us and they can't find out information about permits. And so I think moving through this rather quickly would be best, and maybe perhaps using that Community Prosperity Initiative, 30,000, part of just a bit of that money, because it's near expiration is what I'm told, and I think it helps the community.
Further discussion?
Councilor Engel, I'm going to follow up with what Councilor Page said, that our current website manager was not managing it long before the fires. And when she was asked to do things, it was thrown on. It was not done in a professional manner. And it was never brought up that perhaps the website needed to be updated by the website manager. If they are managing it, there needed to be management of it. And there was no management of the website far before our forest fires. And since the forest fires, when we have given the manager information, they just put it up. They have not reformatted the website. They have not created tabs. They have not created pull downs. And yes, it does look terrible on the mobile site, but I never saw any information from the manager saying, oh my gosh, we really need to talk about updating this website. There was never any management of the website coming from them about how to make it better, what needs to be done, things like that. They were throwing stuff up when we gave it to them, and that was all the management that was occurring. It would have been very nice if we'd been told far, far long ago, gosh, I don't know how to do that, but I can learn, or gosh, you guys need to update your settings so that we can make these things look better. There was no management happening on this website, and I'm very reluctant at this time to go forward with a known entity and knowing what this entity has been looking like. I know that we are still on a vote for this one specific, and so, and that's where we are on this discussion. And so that's my discussion on the point of voting for Lori Gatley.
I'd also, thank you. I looked through all these bids.
She's putting stuff in the car.
And spent some time thumbing through. Project Limited has been involved in the Detroit area for several years themselves. They've been involved in the fishing derby, a lot of Delabra stuff, the Detroit Rock Project. And again, I understand we have to watch our dollars, but I feel that at the very least, Project Limited at least has a local tie involved in this and has had some experience working in the canyon with what's going on, what goes on. I think they come with a pretty good background, and so I'm just gonna, my 2 cents is going with a new program and giving Project Limited a chance on this thing, because I do feel they have a local interest, and I think they are vested in the canyon and specifically Detroit, and they understand what's going on there very clearly. And I think their heart and soul's in it. So that's my 2 cents on it.
Further discussion.
Yeah.
Councilor Luke, I'm sorry. You keep moving around on my board here.
Oh, one thing I don't know, and Shelley brought up your concerns, was has Lori Gatley been, was there any type of contract or anything as a website manager? Has she been being paid monthly? When was the last time? And the reason I ask is because as a businessman, if you're not going to pay me for anything, I'm just going to do what I can and throw the stuff up there because I got paid for building it and so forth and so on. And don't, obviously, unless my customer asks me for more, I'm not going to keep going. So I'm just trying to get a feel if that was something that, in all fairness, if she's dropped the ball with that and not provided the service that we've been paying her for, or if it was possibly more our lack of involvement.
That's a good question, and I don't know the answer. That would be through our city staff who hire her and manage her contract and things like that. I believe that Christine was the person who handled her contract, and I don't know if she still does or if Kelly does now at that point.
Hang on, just give us 30 seconds here. Okay, so she's on a contract, but she's not billing us.
She hasn't been, but she was billing us monthly before the fires. She was.
Okay.
I don't know how much it was offhand. I don't pay the bills, so I don't know.
Yeah.
Don't know exactly.
What we're hearing is she was
I don't
billed.
know if she's on. Did you see her?
I have not seen her, but I can patch her in via audio. But
And I'm here.
Oh, hi,
There you
Lori.
are.
Hello. I charge the city $20 a month and $125 a year for hosting. So that is still, what I've been charging them.
Okay,
And
thank
that
you.
I put in my proposal that I would continue to charge that amount and I won't raise it at all.
Thank you.
Mhm.
I think you should also note that the hosting is paid through October 2021 as well.
Thank you. All right. Further discussion.
Greg Shepherd. Lori's been doing it for years, and she's lost property in Detroit. She has a stake in the community. I think. Anyway, I think Lori would be the one to go for. I don't. She may not have had a direction that maybe thought that maybe we could give her some more direction. But I think that we had to stick with Lori. We need to think about our budget, and I think she's pretty reasonable. That's my 2 cents.
Further discussion. Okay, the motion on the floor is to continue re-up the contract with Lori Gatley. All those in favor signify by raising your hand. I have 1, 2, 3, and okay, all those opposed, raise your hand. 1, 2, 3, and I don't know what to do here. Because I haven't had really a good chance to go through this. And I admit that. I have to go with, let's continue with Lori on a condition that we see something. If not, we can readdress this. So. Okay.
So how many A's and how many nays?
We have
3 and 3?
4 and 3.
4 and 3. 4
Motion
A's
passes.
Okay.
Moving along, Councilor Matthews' resignation letter.
I thought it was 3-3.
Was, and then I voted to continue the contract. Okay. Moving along, to whom it may concern, I, John Manthe, hereby resign as city councilor for the city of Detroit, Oregon. Thank you, John Manthe. So I need a motion to accept the resignation of Councilor Manthe.
I make a motion that we sadly accept the resignation of Commissioner Manthe.
Have a motion to accept the motion of resignation of Councilor Manthe. Second, Councilor Engel. Second.
I'll second.
Councilor Shepherd. Yes, I think the city of Detroit owes that man quite a bit. He's been involved with the fire district and the city for over 16 years as a councilor, board member, and various things like that. So we'll do that, and we can declare a vacancy. People interested in submitting an application to be appointed to council need to write a written request to the city. That needs to be received. As soon as possible. We'll vote to fill that position at the next regular council meeting in February. Discussion.
Kelly, can you make sure that somehow that form is available on the web so that people can access it?
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah, we need that right away. Yeah. Moving along, the contract with Highland Water Corporation, our city engineers, HBH, has said that the city of Detroit water technician, Bob Bruce, will need extra staff. CIS, our insurance company, will pay for the staffing needs. If the staff member from Highland Water Corporation needs to use equipment to do a job, then the insurance company will not pay for that. I will find out how that would be paid for and let you know at the special session.
I did not, I called Robin and haven't received back, the information for that. It might have to just go with FEMA. You know, put on the list for FEMA.
Okay. So you have before you a contract with Highland Water that was received after last month's meeting.
Don't know how long it's gonna be. Could be 1 month, could be 2 months, it just depends.
So
It's kind of open.
yeah. So do I have a motion to accept or enter into a contract with a professional water services agreement with Highland Water Corporation?
I'll make that motion for Highland Water Corporation to their professional services agreement. Go
Have a
for it.
motion, Counselor Matt, Counselor Tesdale, been a long day, to enter into contact with a professional services agreement with Highland Water Corporation. Discussion. Oh, do I need a second? I'm sorry.
Second.
Second, Counselor Engel. Okay. Discussion.
Are they going to be taking care of the leaks on this, Jim, in the system? Or are they simply managing keeping the intake clean at where we're pulling our water in?
Both.
Both.
Great.
Okay.
Okay.
Hey, Jim, this is Matt with HBH.
Oh, go ahead, Matt. Thank you.
I just heard back from Rob on that, specifically the equipment, and he said that can be pulled out of the FEMA portion of the work.
Yeah.
Just small portions, small project portions, I guess is what he said
Okay.
Thank
regarding the equipment.
you. Thank you.
Thank you. Further discussion? Hearing none.
And-
All those, I'm sorry,
They can start next week.
Matt?
I have not actually been involved with that contract. Actually, Rob just messaged me. They should be available shortly after February 7th.
Okay, so not next week. So like 3 more weeks.
When I talked to Silas, he said that it was gonna be, you know, that they'd be available.
I'll shoot out a quick
Yeah,
message of
that was open
clarification on that.
tomorrow.
I'm sorry, Matt?
I'll shoot a quick clarification out on that one.
Okay.
Yeah, because waiting weeks, we are well beyond waiting weeks to start anything on the water project. It is a yesterday on every issue on this project.
Yes.
Yep.
Okay,
There is no more wait.
Yeah, I will
Yeah.
see what we can do with them on that.
Right. Matt, we know you're not the bad guy. You're just unfortunately the messenger. So thank you.
That's okay.
Thank you.
Go from there. Further discussion on the contract or on the motion? Hearing none. All those in favor of approving the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Abstention. Motion passes unanimously. Just very quickly, I assume everybody heard that we have received a grant from USDA for $1 million. We also understand that we do not have to do the RFP route. We can, because of the state of emergency that was in the email. And then at the bottom of that email was, you can apply for another grant of $150,000. And just so council knows, Rob Henry from HBH called me and said, I suppose I should get word from the city that you folks really want to apply for that and not just do it. And so I took my emergency management hat and put it on and said, let me think about it. Yes, we want to apply. So that application is already being worked on by Jason Crane, who is our the person has been assigned to us by USDA, but he doesn't work for USDA, in working with Matt, and we're putting that application together. So that's the possibility of another 150,000 coming our way, and go from there. And just so council knows, we've been talking, we've been waiting, it seems like forever, for FEMA to decide if they could help us with the pipes from RNG if they prove to fail, not because of construction project. And we've been waiting for FEMA Legal Services to give us an answer, and they're dragging their feet. I had a one-on-one phone call from Congressman Schrader yesterday. Actually, it was he and I, and then on the conference call was his staff, and I brought that issue up. That would be nice if we could get the FEMA legal department to get off the dime. And as I was hanging up, he said his aide was dialing the phone number to FEMA to try and get the legal department to make some kind of determination so we can move forward. Or at least know what way we have to move. So that's in the works. Next on the agenda, discuss the Gary King of America underground, the trees located on the Silver Bullet water tank. Who do we have here for that?
Gary should be.
Gary?
Good evening. How are you guys?
There he is.
There he is.
I just wanted to touch base a little bit. As you know, we've been in there for quite some time now. Just a quick update. The boulder tumble section is basically 99% finished, and we're just cleaning up, moving out. We're up on North Butte right now, finished up the point above the hotel. And some concerns have come up with me as far as this process keeps going, and there's a lot of this, I'm just going to talk a little bit, dealing with some of these homeowners, a lot of them just not educated on the process across the board, whether it be the ash inspections and trees, what have you. For me right now, it's the trees and the liabilities. And so as we're clearing out these areas and people are getting ready to start building, it's trying to get in contact with some of these people that, I mean, their whole section of trees are gone. As we've all seen with these windstorms coming through, it's going to be continual. As I keep walking around town, even without windstorms, I'm seeing these trees falling over. So I'm trying to figure out a way to get on board, partnered up with the city to help, I don't want to say mandate, but help educate and push some of these residents in that direction, because from a liability standpoint, I see this being a huge problem with the town in general. As we or whoever it is moves out and people are waiting for FEMA, which we've all been involved with that, I don't have a strong, encouraging feeling that FEMA is going to come in and save the day. I'm in pretty tight with some of the contractors that are going to be working with them directly. And, you know, as of late December, they should have been started and they're still trying to figure it out. So I don't know what that partnership looks like, or if the city can help us, American Underground, in any way on trying to facilitate pushing or educating these people in the direction that needs to happen. Because from a city standpoint, it starts becoming a liability, which will kind of lead me into my next discussion. So with our Ziply and our CPI, you know, early on they were fantastic, and they still are to work with, but between storms and, you know, from everybody else needing stuff dropped, it's starting to become a challenge to get that to happen. I talked with Ziply today, and it sounds like, and I'm not a fan of this, but it sounds like the Ziply might start charging the homeowners to do this. Politically, I don't see this going over well. So at this point, with a good plan set in place, hoping to partner up with the city and some of these homeowners, if we can get enough of them on board to really make that drop count between CPI and Ziply, that'll be huge. Everybody's running ragged, and to come back and drop a line 2-3 times is starting to become a big problem. So that would be my point number 2. My other point is around the lower water tank. We are logging basically the whole perimeter around you. So I happened to see your engineer up there. He was meeting with your insurance agents the other day. And we were talking about that, logging around it, and wondering if we could get, even if we issued you one or we did a contract between us at no cost to the city, but just to harvest those trees while we're in there. CPI is going to be dropping the power for the lots around the tank anyway. My big concern is this: once we log all those residents around your tank, with the water issues we have already, those are all interior trees. So once I take everything out, the concern of mine and the engineers is there's going to be a tree falling on your tank. I don't want that to happen because I feel like you guys are climbing a mountain already with a water system. So that's kind of where I'm at. Excuse me. From a scheduling standpoint, we're going to keep working our way out from Butte on down to Mackey and Scott. One big issue is Mackey. This is where I kind of want to partner up with the city on. I know we have residents up above that are up and running. I need to drop power and Ziply almost for a block and then turning going up Ziply. So I really want to have a pre-con with the city, Ziply, and CPI to come up with a good game plan on minimizing the impact of those residents, or coming up with a great plan to help minimize the impact on those residents. I think we have one, but really I think we need to have a pre-con and just a partnership working together, because there's a lot of timber coming out up there. And we have houses, so the game changes. We don't have a big meadow to play with. Now we have houses that are up and people are building. So that's kind of what I got going on. Any questions?
Yeah.
I'm sure you have a lot.
Hey, Gary, I just wanted to say that we appreciate all your work you've been doing in the neighborhood that you just got finished with. And do you have any suggestions on ways to get the information out, or anything for us to work on to help you out other than that meeting?
Yeah, I think, and it might be good even with Wendy. Wendy's my wife here in the office. She gets hammered. We have it figured out pretty well, but really just to get it maybe on the website or Facebook page. And this starts from the beginning, just, letting people know, and I know we have, but letting people know there's a metal dump in town. And then
recorded after it's over.
That little tag in front of everybody's house means absolutely nothing for them to rebuild. They're going to have to get it tested so we can get that documentation for anybody to take that ash away. Without that, they're not going to be able to build. They need to have that documentation. And a lot of folks are still under the impression that little tag they put out early on is stating that they're free to load out and go. We don't need to test anymore. That is not the case. So that'll cover the metal and the ash. From the timber standpoint, I'm working with Jerry Whaley quite a bit. He's retired from ODF. Whether we write up something for people to understand the life and death of the tree to help educate them on that, maybe that would be helpful. We deal with it all week long and hourly with folks. But from a city standpoint, I think if we could get them educated, and then I think from a city standpoint, we need to look at it from a liability standpoint, because by the time the aerial goes back up, we now are going to have cost impacts. It's just going to go on and on and on if we don't get these trees down. And you have root issues, rot issues. You have a lot of issues.
Jim?
Councilor Page.
Under our state of emergency situation related to this fire and trying to get our water services back up, do we not have jurisdiction to come in, not only cut the trees that are surrounding our water source that are on our property or Forest Service property, but those that would also be on private property that would fall into our property because they have also been damaged? It seems to me that we should have blanket take and drop the lines and clear this all in one shot, and there shouldn't be anything more to talk about here.
Can we tell him that? Let me see.
Yeah, okay, Kelly's got something to say on that.
So-
She's on my microphone, so.
So
Okay,
we have a nuisance order or nuisance ordinance, excuse me, that states that if you have a hazard tree on your property and you do not take care of the hazard tree, then in a certain period of time, normally it's I've done it before where I've written a letter saying that you'll be have 30 days to take care of the problem. If the problem is not resolved, then we will cut the trees and we will bill you. Or I think there's I've done the $250 a day type thing if it really gets to the point where they won't respond. So that we do have a nuisance order, and letters can be written. And I can send letters and maybe send information like Gary was saying with those letters. Maybe the first letter not being so harsh,
how many properties?
And then
are
if they
involved?
still won't do it, then we can, then tell them that they're in violation of that nuisance order.
How many properties are involved, Kelly?
What's that?
How many properties surrounding this are involved?
You mean people that are not taking their trees or?
Well, the surrounding the Silver Bullet, how many properties are involved that would have trees that could affect the water plant?
That's not so much the issue. I have all those contracted out. The issue around the Silver Bullet is going to be just getting together with you guys and some kind of contractual thing put together so I can just take the timber as payment to get rid of them. Because once I take those surrounding areas, then the liability for the water tank comes into play because the next windstorm is going to blow something over because they're all interior trees. So the root system's just super weak comparatively.
I was talking, Eric, I don't know, I'm sorry. I was talking about if I wasn't clear about property owners that have hazard trees or dead trees that can't even be contacted or won't cut them down. That's what I was talking about, not the city.
Right.
Tree. Yeah.
Right.
So
Okay.
Councilor Luke, I think we should take Gary's proposal into consideration. I mean, if there was to make a motion, I would like to make a motion to allow American Underground to contract American Underground, since they're already up there and everything else, under the emergency order, to take whatever trees deemed necessary that we determine are a liability for any part of the city water system or road system or otherwise, because I know that it can be done expediently and for free by a licensed bonded contractor who's well tied with ODOT up there, with the engineers speaking, has relationships all the way around. And to me, it's common sense and just makes perfect sense.
Yeah, Greg Shepherd, I agree. We need to move on this as soon as possible because the worst part of the winter is still coming and we can't really afford to wait.
Also, we're supposed to get an IGA from ODOT for them to come in and cut the city trees, and haven't received that yet, and still don't know when we do sign it, or if we decide to sign it, how long it's going to be for them to be up in Detroit cutting those trees. So we don't know yet.
Okay.
So I make a motion to go with.
Well, before we do, the other thing we need to be aware of is FEMA does have people on the ground now for phase 2, to start phase 2, including they have arborists up there. My understanding is on the ground now, beginning to mark trees. We saw some people walking around up there yesterday that looked kind of like that, but they're on the ground doing what their phase 2 operation too. So I'm a little reluctant to just enter into a blank contract for those people who signed up for phase 2.
This would just be for the city.
Yeah.
This is
That's not the motion I'm hearing from Councilor Luke.
just the city. It's all I'm saying.
Just city stuff?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry, I misunderstood that.
Yeah, sorry. No,
I'm sorry.
I don't want to impose that on other people. They can deal and Gary can deal with it. But for us as a city, now's the time, and I can't see how contracting with Gary that interferes with FEMA, because Gary's going to take whatever he's going to take, and if they come in later and say there's more that they need to take, then they can take them. Gary's going to be gone.
That would be contradicting what.
I have a couple of
Councilor
questions.
Engel.
Commissioner Engel, Councilor Engel. I have a couple of questions. What would happen with our IGA with FEMA if we in fact awarded this to American Underground? Does anybody know the answer to that?
So from my, I don't mean to interrupt, but
No,
I know
please.
from my understanding, dealing with and being in the book here right now with FEMA and all the other contractors, they're going to dump the trees. They're going to leave a deck in people's yards, and they're going to move on.
Not for the city.
Now, at some point, correct. Probably not for the city. You're probably right. But at some point, they might do a green sheet. Who knows? But I can tell you from my standpoint, like I said, they were supposed to start mid to late December. We're many weeks into it, and I've talked to the FEMA folks up there. They're still trying to figure out what they're doing, to be honest. My recommendation would be to get it done. I don't see this being a productive situation yet on the FEMA.
Okay,
I think there's a lot of details that they don't have figured out. And the one, like we've talked, the contractors in general that we've all been discussing, they have forgotten the one biggest piece. What are they going to do with the logs? So they've put all this together, but they forgot the basic one. And once they cut it, what are they going to do with all this?
So they told me they would be taking the logs and marketing them.
And Shelley, answer your question, I think. You're asking, what if we do this with Gary? FEMA's not going to come if we have somebody taking down trees now. They're not going to say, oh, they're taking care of that, we're not going to come. They'll still come through and they'll double check the job, I'm certain, because they'll be there for all the residents and everything else. Like I said, I think that then if there's still any troubled trees possibly left, they'll identify them and take them. But right now, I can't see any harm in getting the ones down that are immediate. In fact, FEMA would, I'm certain, focus for that because it would take it off of their plate.
Okay, so I spoke to Brian Nicholas with Oregon Emergency Management. We have 28 arborists going up to Detroit to start identifying and taking down the trees. And that's all funded through FEMA and ODOT and Oregon OEM. And so Gary, if they are going to do it for free, how are you going to be doing that?
I'm taking the timber and I'm marketing the timber. That's what's paying me. And when I get into, like when we started this thing, if I get into a bigger patch, that's basically helping pay for all these other littler patches. Because, when we get into small lots, it could be a 3-day deal. There's no room to follow them. You got to strategically plan it all out, deal with all these other entities. We were never in this thing to retire by any means, but when I started doing this, we did it for 2 lots and residents had to pay money, and I couldn't do that to those folks. So we came up with a plan for, enough gross to help pay for the town as a whole, not just one particular person. And so my payment is literally the logs.
Oh, okay. So you're doing a service for trade.
Correct. I'm just marketing the logs and that's my payment.
Okay.
Now, I wanted to clarify. I heard a rumor mill recently that someone thought that Gary wanted to take the logs and get paid and so forth. And other than the very first 2 lots that he helped people do, that is not true. And I know that for a fact because Gary and I, of course, before I was on council, worked together to build the cleanup consortium that we have in place. And I've backed off of that because I didn't have a whole lot of support and backing, and I was losing a lot of precious time in my business and my personal life and sleep, and spent countless hours. And then we didn't have people that wanted to help to organize and so forth. But we haven't given up completely. But I wanted to let everybody know Gary's not in this to charge the city, to charge the insurance, any of that. He's just up there all that top dollar equipment and expensive to haul in and out. And the trees are around the Silver Bullet. They need to come out. He's willing to take them, and he's willing to take any other ones that we need to get out right away while he's still up there.
And there's a couple other loggers up there. I mean, we're all working together at this point. I've traded lots with other people just to try and make it efficient for the residents. I'm not up there to try and I want this to get done so the city of Detroit can get up and going. That's the ultimate goal.
So what I'm looking at here on the agenda, it says discuss American Underground taking care of the trees located at the Silver Bullet water tank. So is that, again?
Correct.
So we're talking around the water tank.
That's around the water tank. Yeah, that would be the one issue that you'd want to vote on. My other issue, which initiated, was the partnership with the city to help encourage residents, because we're up on that North Butte point. You know, when we're done, I'm going to clean that up. Just like today, I rocked that little easement road for the power off of that spur of North Butte where CPI runs. Once I clean up, I want to do that one time. I don't want to spend countless dollars cleaning up and re-rocking when people decide to come on board. We've pulled a lot of logs off that point. So I really want to get that hillside because it's a huge liability. People are going to start building up on the top, and there's going to be trees coming down. Those are some of the worst ones right now.
Gary, I appreciate the Silver Bullet work, and that's wonderful. However, just as with Tim's consortium, we cannot endorse you to encourage citizens to use you. That's hang your business card on the bulletin board as such. We can't, as a city, encourage that. That would become an ex parte situation for the city.
Right. Well, if at all possible, if we can get the right information out there to help educate the people to push them in the right direction, that would be probably the most beneficial. There's a lot of people that don't no clue where to turn, to be honest.
I think it is incumbent on the city to start letting people know that, hey, if you have bad trees on your lot, if they come down, you are financially liable for any damage. And that we can do, and I think we do need to do, and maybe provide yours and maybe other people who are willing to do that and stay. And as I've been talking to people, I've been saying, hey, you need to get this taken care of now, because if those trees come down, it hurts somebody or smashes a home, you are responsible. And giving them the weather conditions and what is happening with trees now. I've had a couple of people pay attention. I'm not saying everybody does, but a couple of people have. So again, the motion. So Tim, who made the motion? Page.
I just had a little follow-up question. One, Gary, what's your time frame on this? And two, from my perspective, we're going to need you to be communicating and working with HBH to make sure that as their project water-wise up there, as they have people funneling in and funneling out on this thing, that this can be a coordinated deal where we're not going to be stopping work that they're doing when they're on a critical point there, and you're not going to be going up there anticipating getting trees out and finding there's a work crew keeping you. So it is crucial right now that everybody coordinates if we are moving forward on this to make this go smoothly. It is critical.
I 100% agree. That's that's why I'm on here tonight. I want to get that partnership kind of put together. And to me, it is with this city. You guys are the heads everybody's looking at right now for direction. When I look at Mackey, that's a big undertaking, and it's going to need a lot of opinions and educated people to put a plan together to not impact those residents that are still up and going. On the same note, we have a week up there cutting big timber. I can pull it off. It's just, I would love the support from the city, CPI, Ziply, everybody working together, the water, just to come up with a fantastic plan to make it efficient. That's what it comes down to.
I think that's critical for this to be a successful move. Everybody has to be on the same page.
Yeah.
Councillor Tisdale, did you have a question?
No, I was just going to ask if we're going to be partnering with all those agencies, if we could maybe task communications to the Planning Commission.
I don't know that we need to take that. I think what we need to do, what my suggestion would be is let's set up with a meeting with HBH, with the players, HBH, Gary, sit down and come up with that timeline.
CPI, get somebody in from
CPI, Zipley,
Yep.
yeah, those agencies, and sit down and say, okay, when can we do this and take the lines down there, put them back up.
Yeah, a coordinated plan.
Yeah.
That's what I'm really looking for. I met with Zipley today. They know where I'm headed, but CPI right now, Eric's been fantastic, and I know they're buried with storm damage and still trying to support all of us. But right now, I'm needing a little bit of help from the city and some other folks to at least get a good plan and dates put together so we can be efficient. That's it.
Yep, I agree with the coordination. I was just thinking that instead of tasking someone from the city office because they're so busy, if we could get that coordination, if we could delegate a little bit, but it would be the same actions. That's just what I was thinking.
Yeah.
So, well, let me do this. So we're looking at HBH, Zipley, CPI, and American Underground. Is there anybody else that should be in that meeting?
Do we need forestry in there, Jim?
Yes, please.
Forestry.
And that's US, right, or Oregon? Up there.
You could be both. So that leads me to another question. I talked with ODF the other day, coming up with a plan on the backside of Mackey. I wanted to see if they could just put a quick sail put together so we could come in the back way and not destroy everybody's home frontage, because that's pretty vertical. I didn't get a positive feedback. I got more that the city did, has a hard time. Didn't want ODF to take trees is what I got.
Yeah.
The trees are burnt and gone. A good plan needs to be in motion for that to happen.
Yeah.
I think it's US Forest Service, Jim.
I think so. So. Well, rather than tasking staff, maybe I'll probably Monday I'll start reaching out to these agencies and seeing if we can find a day and time in the near future, very near future, to set up where we could sit around a table and kind of see if we can map out some kind of a timeline and who could be where and when.
And I'm happy if you want me to come over and show you our master plan. That would probably be beneficial, so you know what I'm talking about, and just for the water system too. That way we're not stepping on each other's toes. That would be fantastic. Let me know a date and I'll be there.
Okay. So actually, if you could maybe get me some dates you'd be available. That's what I'm going to do, is just give me some dates. I'll look at everybody's dates available and pick one from there.
I'm open 24/7.
Yes. Okay. 3 o'clock Wednesday morning. Don't just go ahead and start without me if I'm not there.
All right. I'm there.
So we do have a motion on the floor to allow American Underground to remove trees concerning the Silver Bullet water tank.
I'll second that.
And we have a second. Councilor Tesdale. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Abstentions. Motion passes unanimously. I will be on that Monday morning and go from there.
Do we need a contract?
I don't know if we need a contract or not. So, okay, and we'll look at whether we actually need a contract for that. Staff, looking at Kelly across from me, we'll figure that out and we'll go from there.
Let me know. I'd be happy to have Wendy send over what we've been using with everybody else too. We could send over a commercial
Why
one.
don't you send that, Gary? If you could send that over just in case.
Sure.
Might save some time.
Okay.
Okay.
Appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you.
Gary.
Okay. That's all we have for our agenda. Next regular meeting would be second Tuesday. And then if it's everybody's okay with it, rather than just say we're going to do a special meeting every 2 weeks, I kind of like this because then we're more flexible in terms of when we have those meetings. If something comes up like this stuff has, we can pull it together fairly quickly. But just understand, we're going to probably do more than one meeting a month. But then the special meetings like this could be shorter and just take care of specific things that need to be taken care of right now. That makes sense to people?
Yes.
Great. So thank you very much. Thanks for everybody who listened in. With that, I do adjourn this special session at 5:30 p.m. Thank you, everyone, for your consideration.
Thank you.
Thank you. Happy
Thank you.
Friday.
Happy
Thank
Friday.
you.
Okay.
Just a minute.